All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning back into Psych Word. You are now on the couch with Rob Girard, and on the line right now we have Grieves from Rhymesayers Entertainment. Grieves, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you. It's good to have you on the line. I know you're a busy man. You're out on tour right now, right?
Yeah, we're running and gunning, traveling around, but it's good.
Now, the new album, Winter in the Wolves, out now, right, on iTunes?
It is. It's out on iTunes. It should be in all retail stores, Amazon, anywhere you purchase music. It should be available. Yeah.
Awesome. The album is great. It sounds awesome, and I just wanted to say that before we even went on. Now, I know you've kind of laid your hat at a few different places: Seattle, Chicago, Colorado. Where is it that you call home right now?
I live in Seattle. I've been there for probably a little over a decade now. Tried a couple different things, especially when the business side of things started becoming more prominent. I tried living in LA and I tried living in New York, but Seattle kept calling me home, so I went home.
Nice. Now, being on Rhymesayers with legends like Atmosphere and countless others, I mean, you're kind of considered the young guy, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely younger dudes on the team. It's just, I think, well, I look like a baby, so that's one of them. And I mean, at a while, I kind of joined when they weren't really bringing new signees on, and they kind of built me from where I was at to where I'm at, and I don't know. I mean, there's definitely new people on the team now, and we got Dem Atlas, who's a young dude, and is making his own steps, and we just signed Prof and everything like that. And, but yeah, I'm the babyface boy of the label, I guess.
Now, obviously, I'm sure you get inspired by, the people, the immense talent that you are, surrounded by and that you work with and whatnot. Now, do you find that these younger guys that have just, are newer and coming on, are they kind of looking to you for advice and looking to you for guidance, whereas maybe some of the older ones aren't as available to them?
I don't really know. I don't have much of a relationship with them. I mean, I know Prof really well because I've toured with Prof, and him and I have a pretty close personal relationship. And, we talk about, Rhymesayers or the music business or, anything really. But since I don't live in Minnesota, it's kind of hard for me to be there for people to develop, I guess, a relationship that might allow someone like Dem or anyone like that to reach out to me. But they're more than willing to any time. I wouldn't say I'm a wise sage, but I'm sure he's getting a lot of knowledge right now on the road with Atmosphere. So,
absolutely,
a great way to cut your teeth with all that.
Oh, I bet, man. And now let me ask you, growing up, were you that young kid in the back of the class, like scribbling rhymes in math class, just not paying attention?
Nah, I was a kid too high on drugs to even go to class.
And yeah, we definitely hear that, through your music. You've expressed a lot of emotions, and with your struggle with addiction and all that emotional stuff. Now, where are you at right now with those kind of struggles?
I'm doing good, man. I'd say that music saved my life. It's been a really interesting thing. I mean, I think when I was younger and I first started doing music, it was cool, like freestyling and parties and shit like that. It was something else, and now it's become like a lifestyle for me, and it's saved me. But I mean, it took a lot of other things to get me off of the demons that were on my back, but music keeps me grounded, keeps me level.
Now, when you travel, do you travel with a very good, supportive team that kind of, would you say, watches you? I mean, how does that whole process go? Because I know, a lot of our show and a lot of our listeners know that we touch on addiction and we touch on those kind of mental health issues. And when you're put in those kind of positions to where fans, I'm sure, are offering you drugs or, giving you drugs, and there's a lot of drug use at the shows, I can imagine it's got to be difficult to just say no to it all the time.
It's not really that big of a problem for me because it's been a lot of years for me. Um, uh, getting clean and all that stuff. It's been a long time. So I'm a creature of habit at this point, and it's not really that difficult. And I also understand, especially with the crew that I travel with, like, sometimes people like to go off and get wild every once in a while, but we don't ever force anything on each other. It's, if you're going to make your decisions, you go and make them and have your fun or whatever it is, or make your bad decisions, and I'll see you tomorrow, And I'd say that our team is really, really good with that. They're really good at respecting people's boundaries with that, and it's nice. I'm happy.
Nice. Now, back to the music side of things. So you release Irreversible in 07. Right?
Yeah.
And
I believe it was like July of 07 or something.
Now,
June.
What was the process from recording that album and kind of where your head was at to all of a sudden releasing your next LP, which all of a sudden is on Rhymesayers? Now, what's the maturation process for you from like those two albums? Because obviously that's a big leap.
Yeah, I wasn't ready for what was happening with Irreversible. It was just really like a collection of songs that I've been working on for a while. I owned a studio. A buddy of mine, we owned a studio together, and we called it Robot Room. And we were recording other people, and I was working out of there. And I guess I wasn't trying to put out a record and storm the world with it, like it was just, I guess I had to put a record out. It was that kind of thing. I had all these songs, and the people around me had kind of compelled me to put some of them together and put them out there. And MySpace was a really big thing at that point, and my MySpace was getting a lot of attention, the songs that I'd put up, and so it made sense. I just didn't expect it to do what it did, and I wasn't ready for it. No one was ready for it, and it just kind of took over. And we went on tour with Atmosphere, and we handed out all those Irreversible demos. And by the time I got back, man, it was like I had a career like just sitting on my doorstep.
Wow. How great is that? How great does that sound?
It was crazy. Well, I feel like a lot of people, they go through the steps and, to build that up. And we were willing to do that, but it just kind of happened so fast that we had to learn as we went. So it was a hectic time for us, but it was cool.
And you got schooled by some legends,
Definitely did, man. My idols became my peers, and that was a pretty crazy feeling.
Now, growing up, who were the artists you were listening to? Now, because your sound you do have that kind of unique sound. Like, you're not putting out this, gangster rap. You're not putting out this completely indie type rap. You're not backpacking. It's kind of like this, culmination of a lot of different sounds. Where would you say you get your inspirations from?
I mean, it comes from everywhere. I'm a sucker for melody first and foremost, So if the tune is right, I'm always going to be inspired by that. And for me, like, it's a lot of like soul music, a lot of R&B, a lot of neo soul. Drives me to it really cranks the gears as far as like, making the hairs on the back of your neck stand up and stuff like that. And I try to incorporate that. I try to incorporate, like my favorite kind of hip hop, which is, like I'd say one of my favorite rappers of all time would be Pharoah. So, like taking a little bit of that, taking a little bit of the soul vibe, taking a little bit of the R&B vibe, taking a little bit of the gangster rap vibe, and the production side of things. And just kind of slapping it all together. And, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But, my job is to make art. So if one song doesn't work, I can always just make another one.
Yeah, absolutely. And so is it safe to say that you're not listening to top 40 rap or?
Yeah, I don't know anything. Kids try to talk to me about it at the shows, but I'm very understimulated by a lot of the stuff going on right now. And it's not supposed to be that cliche like, oh, listen to the radio rap. It's not that. It's just it's not my kind of music. And, it's a lot of this like younger kid knucklehead like rap stuff going on now. Like it's so played out to me. And I know that like and how kids really like that stuff. And, you know, I probably would have too if I was a 16-year-old dude running around smoking blunts and breaking car windows, but I'm not. I'm a 30-year-old man, and I just can't really get with that stuff.
Now, do you have any guilty pleasure rappers or pop singers that are out there that, like...
R. Kelly. All day long. I own every single R. Kelly album.
No, let me say, that double album that he put out, that had some bangers on there. Oh, that had...
Dude, I think he's got bangers for days. I actually really like R. Kelly.
When a woman's fed up, you know, when a woman's fed up, you know, off that double album. It's... Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, he produced that record for Ron Isley, too.
Really?
Oh, yeah. It's amazing. R. Kelly's a genius.
Yeah, I think he kind of like pissed all over his career. And you know, it's unfortunate, but all right. So you got R. Kelly. That's your guy. And you had mentioned the melody, so you're a sucker for melody, so that kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Well, he's great.
Now we have a couple questions from some Twitter followers. All right.
Okay.
This question is from Neil. He wanted to know. He says that my favorite track of yours is Boogeyman. What was that? What was your inspiration behind that? Besides the obvious.
Yeah, I wrote that song in the van. I believe we were driving from Salt Lake City to Boise, maybe the other way around. I think I was on tour with Soul Crate, and Budo had a batch of beats that he put onto my computer from his hard drive, and that was the one that I disliked the most. And I decided to make an exercise out of it. And it wasn't that I disliked the beat, it's that it didn't grab me like I would normally go to. So I decided to, you know, break habit and try writing something completely different. And so I wrote it, and then I demoed it for him in the hotel room, and he loved it. So we tracked it, and then it sat for like a year, and then we opened it back up and, you know, reworked it and made it as pretty huge track. When it decides to explode on you, it gets really big. So we took it to this studio in Colorado that's like analog wonderland pretty much, and we beefed it up there, and yeah, it was cool. It was cool because it was something that I didn't plan on doing, and it turned out to be, you know, one of my favorite songs on that record. And a single, you know, we filmed a video for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the video is incredible, and you have some great videos. You have some awesome visuals for your videos. You really, it seems like, take your time and put a lot of thought into those videos. And I mean, you have a ton of videos that have, you know, millions of views, and that's got to be pretty humbling for you.
It's cool, you know. I actually hate filming videos. I don't like being in front of a camera. That's not really me. So if I'm going to spend the time and the money to film a video, I want it to be worth it, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So to any, I mean, you know how it is. I mean, ever since the MySpace days, and it sounds like you were probably one of those, like, you know, this, you know, little wannabe rapper, not saying you're wannabe, but you get what I mean. Little, you know, there's millions of these wannabe rappers out there, and you never know which one's going to kind of break the mold and make it big. So for all these rappers that have their home studios and have their SoundClick or SoundCloud pages, do you have any advice for, you know, what they could do?
Yeah, you know, my number one thing with music, and I'm by far like, what I say is not law. Like, it doesn't mean what I'm saying is going to change anything in your life, but I get a lot, like, people send us music all the time. We try to listen to all of it. But it's frustrating because a lot of this stuff, and especially with home studios and things like SoundCloud and really just the internet and social media, stuff like that, it's allowed everyone to have access to the world in a way that you used to need a record label for. So kids are like, you know, automatically, like, they download Fruity Loops or some, you know, BS program online, and all of a sudden they're a producer, and now they're a rapper, and now they're, you know, now they're making records and they're putting it out, and it's like there's not an actual, like, there's not a lot of professionalism going into it, and they're mimicking the things that they see on the TV or that they hear on other people's sound clicks or what they hear on the radio and stuff like that. And it's frustrating because there's not a lot of soul in that kind of music. And I don't mean soul like, Marvin Gaye or Al Green. I mean soul like human emotion. Like, even if you're talking about selling drugs and killing people, I want to believe it. Like, I want to actually, I want to believe it. And that's like with all this swag rap that comes out, like every little derpy white kid from the suburbs is like swagged out, and I just can't get it. Like, and I know like it's like a popular thing, like with the trap music and stuff like that, but it's dead. Like, it's dead to me. Like, it's just like a bunch of little robots like clicking 30-second notes on their Fruity Loops or whatever, and it's just driving me crazy. Like, it's all replicated. There's nothing new to me. When that stuff first started coming out, it was cool because it was weird and different, and now it's beaten to death. And I would love to see somebody make music with their heart and their head, instead of emulating what they think is going to get them more plays on their SoundCloud, or what's going to get them more downloads, or what's going to get them more chicks, or whatever it is. Like, and if that's your goal, then go for it, but you got to do it in an honest way.
Definitely. And it's like, yeah, tell me a story. Don't tell me about how swagged out you are. Tell me a story and paint a picture for me. Do something original. Or tell me how
swagged out you are, but make me believe it. Don't just be like, I'm number one and I am swagged out. Like, I don't care. Like, I believe it when some people say it, but I don't believe it when everyone's saying it,
Definitely. And I have a lot of these, younger artists heading me up too. They want to get on the radio and stuff. And what I'll tell them is, don't try to emulate what you hear on the radio, because you'll never be able to make a Drake song better than Drake. You'll never compete.
Yeah.
So you might as well try to do something original and try to break through.
Yeah.
Or like you said, put some soul into it, because everything's kind of already been done already. So do what you could do, but do it, like you said.
Well, and
soul.
Emulation is art. I mean, we're all inspired by the things around us, and we do imitate it. Art imitates everything, not just life. I mean, our art will imitate stuff. It happens. Like, you hear a song, you listen to a record a lot, and then you sit down to produce a song. Like, chances are something's going to come out of you that kind of sounds like that because you're inspired by it. But don't do it to be that. Do it because that inspired you to do your own version, or you took a piece from that and you added that to your mosaic. But don't try to be that. You should always, you should have your own goals in mind.
Definitely. Now, Winter and the Wolves, real quick. The album sounds great. How's the feedback been from the tour?
It's good, man. It's been really good. It was a long break for me, so I wasn't sure how that whole situation was going to go. But the shows got bigger. It seems like the record is really like touching people in a personal way, which is good for me, because I was a little worried, because I kind of touched some adult subjects on that, and there's some stuff that I just had to do, and so I did it. And I feel pretty good about it, and I don't need to do that anymore, and I can, take, my next record in a whole nother direction. But I had to do what I did on this record this time. There was really no avoiding it for me, like, personally. And I didn't know how the world was going to react to that, but it turned out pretty good,
Absolutely. I mean, artists mature, so you got to kind of touch on those topics. And I think for the most part, you would hope that the fans expect that. And if they don't expect that, they at least, will embrace it, because, I mean, Jay-Z said it best. He's like, if you want my old stuff, buy my old albums.
Yeah, totally. I like that. I'm not familiar with that quote, but I love that.
Yeah, definitely. But Grieves, thank you very much. Grieves from Rhymesayers Entertainment, thank you very much for coming on Psych Word today.
Of course, man. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Best of luck with the rest of the tour. Real quick, if they want to hit you up, if they want to contact you, Twitter, how can the fans reach you?
Twitter is at Grieves Music. Facebook page is Grieves Music. I'm on the Instagram, taking photos of all my travels. That's just at Grieves. GrievesMusic.com, Rhymesayers/Grieves. We're out there. Google me.
All right, Grieves. Thank you very much, man. Best of luck on the rest of the tour, and thank you for stopping by.
Thanks, boss.
All right.